What's going on, everybody? Matthew back again, this time for the Season 2, Episode 2 review of Rings of Power, entitled Where the Stars Are Strange. Let's get into it. So this time we start with Galadriel having a dream of Celebrimbor, literally telling her everything that Sauron planned. She then reveals to Gil-galad that she's been having weird dreams since putting on the ring, and Gil-galad reveals that the same thing is happening to him, yet they still continue to wear these rings. What seems to be with little doubt that it will lead to anything bad, even though they've both been having terrible dreams. We then see that the messengers to Celebrimbor have been killed, but do not know who did it. It could have been people sent by Sauron because from what I can tell, he seems to be kind of a loner and doesn't have followers at this time, so was it just dumb luck for Sauron that the messengers were killed? And also, why weren't more messengers sent considering the gravity of the situation? Sauron is back and Celebrimbor needs to be told, but you only send 2 messengers. We move back to Gandalf, Nori, and Poppy, where they're still walking through the desert. They have a conversation about Gandalf's name and what it should be, which was very on the nose. Nori at one point even states that they'll find a name for him soon. Meanwhile, the audience can easily guess that as Gandalf, unless they try to pull a switch and make it Saruman, but I highly doubt that's what they're going to do. While they're camping, Gandalf tells them to be quiet because he hears something. And then the audience can clearly hear a horse neighing and walking before Nori points it out. But apparently none of them hear the horse neighing before that, which was very audible. They all go to hide, and here the show steals a moment from the 2 towers, where Frodo and Sam hide under the elvish cloaks from the Easterlings entering Mordor. It's the same here with Nori and Poppy hiding under what appears to be a net that they use to drag stuff through the desert. Why the Easterlings cannot see them, or the very obvious net that wouldn't belong in the brush of a desert, I have no idea. Obviously the entire scene is only there to rip off the 2 towers to attempt to provide some semblance of tension. But they aren't caught, so it served no purpose except to show that the showrunners and writers have no good or original ideas. We move from there to be reintroduced to Nissa and Durin the Fourth, where they are shopping when the decay from the forming of Mordor reaches Khazad-dûm and causes an earthquake. It cuts all the lights from the mirrors they had set up along the inside of the mountain to provide sunlight for their crops. Durin the Fourth is in an argument with his father Durin the Third, and they are not speaking to each other. Disa is brought to Durin III with 2 other female dwarves to try to sing to bring back the sunlight. They attempt this with Disa leading the way, and with the power of her 3 chins, her singing is not able to bring the sunlight, but instead closes the gap in the side of the mountain even more. We move back to the elves where we see Círdan shaving his beard, and they seem to have purposely moved his hair over his left ear to show he does in fact have pointy ears, and even his hair color has changed from what we've seen to be gray-white in the previous episode to now blonde. This may be an effect from the rings that he, Gil-galad, and Galadriel are now wearing, which are bringing life back to the elves. Or it could be a fix the showrunners made to try to make him look more elvish, but I think it's the former. As Círdan and Elrond speak, Círdan admits the power of the rings, and says to Elrond that the count of power should remain with the elves. He tells Elrond that in fearing what they could do in the hands of someone evil, do not forget what good can be done with them in the hands of someone good. But this begs the question, why wouldn't you just destroy these rings to risk evil ever attaining them? I understand the story has to move in the direction to ultimately get to Lord of the Rings, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of effort put into the decision of these elves in this matter. It's like they think about the harm that could happen for a second and then move on. The way it's written makes the elves look exceptionally stupid and dim-witted. We move back to Gandalf and the Harfoots as they march through the desert. Or I should say Gandalf marches through the desert. He's dragging the little lazy Harfoots who are not passed out or anything but are just tired. So of course because of this stupid decision it makes Gandalf, the more capable of the 3, even more tired until he ultimately passes out. And now the little lazy Harfoots have to drag his old ass through the desert and are now far more vulnerable. The fat one, Poppy, sees a well and they drag Gandalf there before bringing up the bucket. As they drink and the bucket descends, it's attached to a bell that rings as the bucket descends, attracting the Easterlings looking for them. They begin shooting at the Harfoots with arrows and miss every shot badly. So immediately I cannot take these villains seriously as they dress like badasses but can't hit a brick wall. Gandalf then uses a random staff he's found to conduct a tornado that blocks them from the Easterlings and also tosses away the lazy Harfoots. And that's the last we see of their storyline for the rest of the episode, thank God. They want us to fear the condition of the little lazy Harfoots, but of course we all know they'll be fine in the next episode. We move back to Eregion where Sauron still waits outside for Celebrimbor, who has already told Sauron, or as he still knows him, Halbrand, that he's not allowed to enter. Halbrand's been waiting outside all day, and apparently the elves there lack the authority to throw his ass out, even though he's been told that Celebrimbor has no interest to see him. Ultimately, Celebrimbor gives in and goes outside in the rain under his goofy umbrella, which by the way does absolutely nothing as Celebrimbor is still soaking wet from the rain. Sauron mentions the rings and Galadriel, which of course grabs Celebrimbor's attention, causing Sauron to give a mischievous smirk with his back turned to the person he's talking to for maybe the 50th time in this season alone. They go inside a talk where Sauron reveals to Celebrimbor a lie that he is in fact a messenger from the Valar, which Celebrimbor believes after Sauron walks out of the flames of Celebrimbor's furnace, and he tells him his name is Anatar. This is where Celebrimbor openly states, quote, Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, because the show thinks the audience is really dumb and they need to spell every little thing out. Finally, we end with Durin the Fourth getting an invitation from Celebrimbor to go to Eregion to, I assume, get their 7 rings from Sauron as well. And that's it. That's episode 2. I really don't know what else to say about this show except to say it's very boring. You can tell just from me reading it. This episode was an hour long, by the way. That's everything that happened in an hour, and I just read it to you in like 3 minutes, maybe. The show's just really boring. You can tell it's stretched out just to meet the runtime of what they want it to be. They don't have the rights to the stuff that they really want to mess with, and that's a good thing. But the show's really boring, and there's really just not much to say about it. We all know why they're using this show in the first place. It's really just a great property that they're using to try to spread their message. But it's a message no one really cares to hear. There's no action, and there's really just not much to say. All the problems that existed in the first episode are still here. The overacting, the oversaturation, and all the characters are like morons. But anyway, that's the review, guys. Let me know what you guys thought of the episode in the comments below. Please hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time. Take it easy, guys.